Greedy People offers a darkly comedic look at morality, human imperfections, and the unforeseen repercussions of greed through the story of a rookie police officer who unwittingly becomes embroiled in a murder investigation. The narrative begins with Will Shelley, an enthusiastic new recruit at the Providence Police Department who is determined to escape his troubled past. Will's father, a disgraced bank manager serving time for embezzlement, casts a shadow over his ambitions. He hopes to forge a fresh start in a quiet coastal town alongside his pregnant wife Paige. As Will partners with the brash and carefree officer Terry Brogan, he soon discovers that life in Providence is far from the peaceful refuge he had anticipated. Terry's flippant attitude towards policing, characterized by a sense of nonchalance and irreverence, introduces Will to the town's quirky residents and challenges his naive ideals about law enforcement. The plot escalates dramatically with a fateful incident at the opulent home of the wealthy Shetlow family. Responding to a mistakenly interpreted emergency call, Will mistakenly believes they are dealing with a burglary. In a chaotic confrontation, he accidentally shoots and kills Virginia Shetlow, the family matriarch. The horrifying aftermath leaves Will stunned and overwhelmed with guilt. Initially dismissive of the gravity of the situation, Terry's flippancy fades as he realizes the gravity of their predicament, particularly since Virginia's husband Wallace Shetlow is a powerful figure in their community. Their investigation leads them to uncover a cache of cash hidden within the home, raising troubling questions about the origins of the Shetlow family's fortune. Fearful of losing their jobs and reputations, Terry convinces Will to cover up the incident by staging it as a failed robbery. This morally dubious maneuver involves them ransacking the house to fabricate evidence, forcing Will into a conflict between his conscience and his desire to protect his career and family. Terry's arguments, while shrewdly pragmatic, are ethically bereft, compelling Will to confront the murky waters of integrity and self-preservation. The carefully crafted narrative quickly spins them into a moral quagmire, showcasing how easily the bond of camaraderie can deteriorate under pressure. With the investigation into Virginia's death heating up, Will becomes embroiled in a web of deception that blurs the line between justice and survival, exploring how greed drives individuals to compromise their principles in the face of adversity. As the tension mounts, the film illustrates the inevitable far-reaching consequences of their choices, enveloping the audience in a gripping tale of ambition and ethical decay. The unraveling. As the investigation progresses, the deceitful narrative constructed by Will and Terry begins to fall apart under meticulous examination. Captain Murphy, an astute leader with a troubled history, grows increasingly skeptical of the discrepancies in the accounts provided by the two men. The environment becomes charged with tension as both officers wrestle with their own moral guilt while trying to uphold their fabricated stories. Simultaneously, Wallace Shetlow transitions from grief to a fervent quest for truth. Driven by a thirst for understanding, his probing inquiries, coupled with connections to influential figures in Providence, add layers of risk for Will and Terry. In this small-town setting, the stakes are amplified with gossip and suspicion spreading like wildfire. Themes of greed and consequences. The film intricately examines the destructive nature of greed, highlighted by the hidden cash and the moral failures of the characters. Terry's casual embrace of corruption and his readiness to manipulate the situation underscore his flawed perspective, whereas Will's internal conflict reveals the heavy toll of sacrificing personal ethics. The concealed money, initially perceived as a potential savior, takes on a sinister role, revealing the damaging secrets that fester beneath the town's outwardly serene facade. As relationships unravel, the story exposes the dark realities lurking within Providence. A town's secrets exposed. As Will grapples with his mounting internal conflict, he unearths deeper ties between the Shetlow family and their dubious undertakings. The revelation of Virginia's untimely demise brings to light her entanglement in illegal activities, including money laundering for the town's elites. This information complicates Will's understanding of his role as he realizes he is merely a player in a larger corrupt game. The town's facade of civility begins to collapse, exposing hidden rivalries and long-standing resentments. Will's journey toward redemption drives him to connect the dots between the Shetlows and local officials, which inadvertently further ensnares him and Terry in the web of deceit. The fallout, consequences of deception. With the staged robbery unraveling, Greedy People illustrates the far-reaching consequences of Will and Terry's choices. Initially overconfident in their ability to evade detection, Terry's facade begins to crack, revealing his own insecurities. He desperately manipulates Will, clinging to the belief that loyalty will protect them from exposure. In contrast, Will becomes engulfed in guilt. His earlier hesitance to engage in deceit morphs into a heavy realization of his moral failings. This pressure strains his relationship with Paige, who intuitively senses something is amiss yet remains unaware of the full extent of Will's entanglement in the scheme. As Will balances his love for his family with the imperative to shield them from the consequences of his decisions, the emotional depth of his struggle intensifies. Wallace Shetlow's pursuit of justice. In the narrative of Greedy People, Wallace Shetlow emerges as a pivotal figure, channeling his grief for Virginia into a fervent quest for justice. Utilizing his substantial wealth and influence, he embarks on an investigation into her tragic death, employing private investigators and exerting pressure on the Providence Police Department to uncover the truth. Wallace's relentless drive to find answers counterbalances the deceitful actions of officers Will and Terry, heightening the story's tension as the net tightens around them. His profound sorrow morphs into a compelling motive, propelling him not only to reveal the specifics surrounding Virginia's demise but also to expose the broader systemic corruption enveloping Providence. As he delves deeper, Wallace's inquiry begins to unveil a complex tapestry of interlinked secrets that implicate local officials, influential business figures, and even members of the police force. The town's corruption unveiled. As Wallace's investigation unfolds, greedy people sheds light on the deep-rooted corruption that characterizes Providence. Virginia's hidden cache of cash emerges as a crucial element in unraveling illicit activities, including money laundering, bribery, and cover-ups involving key community players. This narrative backdrop serves as a poignant critique of power's susceptibility to abuse and highlights the complicity of individuals who ignore wrongdoing. Concurrently, Will grapples with the ramifications of his earlier actions as he uncovers these corrupt connections. This awakening shifts his perspective, revealing that Virginia's death is not an isolated tragedy but symptomatic of a pervasive moral decline. These realizations catalyze Will's decision to extricate himself from Terry's corrupting influence and seek a path toward redemption. The breaking point. The tension in the story escalates dramatically when Captain Murphy, a pragmatic yet empathetic leader, confronts Will and Terry, having pieced together the inconsistencies in their narratives. Murphy's own experiences of loss and regret intensify her resolve to hold her colleagues accountable. In a significant turning point, Murphy's confrontation forces Will to face a monumental choice: allegiance to Terry or adherence to what is ethically right. In a bid for self-preservation, Terry seeks to frame Will as the primary architect of the cover-up, fracturing their partnership and setting the stage for the film's inevitable climax. The climactic confrontation. The tension culminates in an explosive sequence at the Shetlow residence where Wallace, equipped with the evidence he has meticulously gathered, directly confronts Will and Terry, demanding justice for Virginia. The situation escalates further upon Murphy's arrival as she is determined to resolve the crisis and uncover the truth, drawing the narrative to its intense conclusion. Narrative and the moral dilemmas faced by its characters. Will's confession, while a pivotal act of contrition, leads to unintended violence, culminating in Terry's tragic demise. This brutal outcome emphasizes the weight of choices made in desperation and the often unforeseeable repercussions that follow. As the dust settles after the violent confrontation, Will's journey takes a sobering turn. With his badge forcibly stripped away and the community turning against him, he confronts the stark reality of his situation. Although he strives to rebuild his shattered life, his emotional scars serve as a constant reminder of the betrayal and complicity he has endured. His relationship with Paige endures, albeit fraught with tension. It symbolizes a potential pathway towards redemption and healing amidst the chaos that surrounds them. On the other hand, Wallace emerges from the climactic events with a renewed sense of purpose. The painful revelations about the systemic corruption in Providence propel him to leverage his position and enact meaningful reforms. His actions demonstrate a commitment not only to justice for Virginia but also to ensuring that such failures do not recur. Wallace's evolution from a passive observer to an active agent of change showcases the potential for growth and accountability even in the shadows of tragedy. Murphy too finds herself in the aftermath, grappling with her own feelings of betrayal and loss. However, rather than succumbing to despair, she remains steadfast in her commitment to integrity within the department. Her resolve acts as a counterbalance to the chaos, signifying that amidst the corruption and despair there are individuals willing to fight for what is right. The fate of Will, Terry, Wallace, and Murphy captures the film's complex exploration of morality and choice. The narrative arc serves as a poignant reminder that actions have consequences and that redemption is often intertwined with struggle and sacrifice. Greedy People poignantly closes on a note of ambiguity that leaves viewers contemplating the nature of justice, accountability, and the potential for redemption. Despite the bleakness of their circumstances, the characters' journeys illustrate the persistent hope that change is possible even in the wake of deep-rooted corruption and personal tragedy. Through the lens of Will's painful confessions and Wallace's quest for reform, the film resonates with the understanding that the path to redemption is fraught with challenges, yet it remains a journey worth undertaking. If you enjoy watching this video, then subscribe to Angel Recaps for the latest movies explanation.